Hey, I got one viewer there. I got audio. Is the audio working? Can you hear me? Got two viewers. Can you hear me? You can hear me? Alright. I'll wait a second and see if we get followers coming in here. We got 5, 8. Give it a minute and see if we get people popping here. 15. That's good. That's good. That's good. 25. Yeet yeet. PT News Network's in here. Good to see you guys. I'll address my complaint about restreaming later. That's not what I want to talk about right now. I'm glad to have the Portland Andy crew and also Freight Broker crew in here. I respect those guys. Got 29 in here. Just gonna see if the numbers keep climbing for a minute. Good to see what happens. $34. Just give it another minute and see if we get some numbers in here. Thanks for tuning in, guys. I really appreciate it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Give it another couple seconds. There's 40 in here now. Give it another couple seconds and I'll jump into it. Turn up my audio. I got some new mics, but they should be working. Let's turn this stuff on here. How's that? Does the audio pick up better? Check, 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 check. How's the audio there? Is it loud now? It's much better. Okay. The big mic. I'm experimenting with a bunch of splitters. All right. We got 61 people in here. I just want to check in and make a statement about what we all know what happened tonight. So I am by no means an authority on information. I hope you guys know that by now. I just tell you what I know, tell you what I've found, and tell you what I think. So last weekend, Antifa assassinated Jay because he was wearing a patriotic hat. He was wearing a Patriot Prayer hat. They targeted him out and they walked up and assassinated him. There was no confrontation. There was no interaction. It just boom, boom, boom. We see you, we shoot you. And that's how it happened. And in the time leading up to, from them to now, tensions have been rising. I'm very emotional tonight, and I'm kind of overwhelmed by the state of events, and please give me some grace on my lack of wording. So today we all saw a very visceral post by Vice Media interviewing Michael Forrest. And a lot of us were thinking, why the hell is this guy getting interviewed by a major media outlet in the US but not being arrested? Why are these journalists conducting an interview with him and letting him have a voice, but without citizen arresting him or alerting the authorities to where he is? We've also heard many, many, many reports of him being in Sandy, him being sighted in Portland, him being here and there and there and there, and nobody fucking caught up to him. Nobody called the cops. Nobody captured him. Nobody arrested him. And it's been, you know, it's been beating at the heart of patriots and conservatives. And like, why is this guy not getting arrested? And we think back to Keisha Love, and Keisha Love, days and days and days and days went by, and no arrest was made, and he finally walked himself into to law enforcement offices and gave himself away and turned himself in. And we're watching the same thing the last couple of days. Like, why is this guy not tied up yet? People were seeing him all over the area, and the law enforcement can't catch him. They can't take him in. And people have been frustrated, and I have been frustrated. So the news is tonight that several different agencies, federal, state, county, local, organized a chase after him. I'm a little worked up. I'm worked up. So law enforcement met up with Michael tonight in Southwest Washington. And they engaged him. A gunfight broke out, and Michael Forrest R. is now dead. The shooter of last week's assassination is dead. I'm sorry. I went over this over and over and over and over and over in my mind, and I tried to gather myself for this, and I'm pretty worked up. What we wanted to happen is for Michael to be brought in by the authorities and to be prosecuted and tried, and so that we could lay all the facts on the table and clarify that Antifa had assassinated a patriot person just for expressing their views. But what's happened is that Michael has been killed in an apparent and acclaimed attempt to take him down by law enforcement. And so now we're never going to get to hear testimony. We're never going to get to hear a trial. And I fear that this is provoking people to escalate violence on both sides. And that's what we've been seeing the last couple weeks. The left punches, and the right punches back, and the left punches back, and the right punches back, and we've gone back and back and back and back and forth. But what needs to be acknowledged is that life is valuable regardless of what side it's on, regardless of the human beliefs that the individual holds. So last week we lost a life. Jay, very kind-hearted man, innocent, was not provoking anything in that moment. And they assassinated him. Tonight, we lost another human being on the other side. He's on the riot side. And many of us will maybe justly claim that he deserved to experience the punishment that he felt. He was trigger happy. He was a drug addict. He was prone to violence. He had a criminal history. But what's wrong with our justice system to where they couldn't just take him in? Many non-governmental agencies knew where he was in the days prior. Vice Media was able to meet up with him and have an interview with him. several patriot groups had a whereabouts of where he was known to be. Many reports said that he was in Sandy on this day and this time, or Portland on this day and this time. What's wrong with the police system in Portland, the law enforcement agencies in Portland, to where they cannot capture a known murderer when the citizens know where that murderer is? What is wrong with the Portland Police Bureau to where they can't capture murderers and they just hope that they walk into the doors and surrender? So this human life, as corrupt and flawed as he may be, was met by force in Washington tonight, and they killed him, they gunned him down. I don't know all the details, and I'm not trying to say that it was just or unjust, but why were we not able to take this one guy into custody without killing him? His trial would have been amazing for the U.S. and the chaos that's going on right now. I'm full of emotion tonight, guys. I don't want to see this violence keep escalating and escalating and escalating and escalating. And from our perspective, like, things might not seem so bad today. Just a little bit of fireworks going off. Just one guy getting beat up here and there. Maybe we've had a killing in there once or twice, but people die all the time, right? But I'd ask you to look into history. And you know, the nation of Israel, India today, and the nation of Pakistan was once one nation. They were one people. They were divided by their beliefs, and they began warring in the streets and fighting each other. And eventually that fight grew and grew and grew until it boiled up so much that India and Pakistan split into two countries. And not many young people know that today, that those were originally one country. But we're seeing some crazy stuff happen in the U.S. today. We are so utterly divided that we're having brawls in the street. And we can talk about the justification on one side versus the justification on the other side, but that doesn't really matter to what I'm trying to say right now. There is division happening, and there is chaos happening, and American citizens are fighting each other and at odds with each other to an extent that there's actually battles happening in the street. No human loss of life is something to be celebrated. If we keep going back and forth in the retaliation, things are going to keep escalating until nobody is safe. Again, forgive me for the level of emotion I'm expressing right now. I'm torn up tonight. Not because I'm so sad for Michael, and poor Michael. He led a path that was horrible and led to his death. He was a criminal and he hurt people, and ultimately it led to his own death. But he was a human being. And more, the country is dividing into two camps, to where this camp doesn't see this camp as human, and as well this camp doesn't see this camp as human. And we've got to find a way to humanize each other so that we can get along and find peace. I posted that picture of Braveheart recently. If you guys seen the movie Braveheart, Mel Gibson, and they're about ready to battle. And he's saying, hold, hold, hold. I'm not a pacifist, not at all. There was a time for war, and there was a time for peace. But we must not let slip the dogs of war until it's time. If we call for violence and we get to that point, there's going to be great, great casualty. Children, women, elderly, innocent and helpless people are going to be harmed if we go to violence. So I'm asking you guys that are watching me, I'm just a regular guy, just like the rest of you. I'm just some random idiot in the world that feels like I could speak, and I have the courage to say my thoughts. I'm asking you guys to seek peace. Sacrifice something. Before you go to violence, seek all avenues of peace. Act on all avenues of peace before you seek violence. Violence is the last resort. We've got a situation of back and forth violence right now. A patriot was killed. Tonight, a rioter was killed. Please do not lose the value of human life. It doesn't matter what their beliefs were. They were both human, and they're dead now. And we don't want that to keep growing and growing and growing. One dead, two dead, 10, 20, 100, 100,000, 1,000. If that sounds sensational, I would ask you to look into history and to look at how things bubble up and explode. Pakistan and India was similar to what's happening right now. Granted, the line that divided them was a religious divide between Hinduism and Islam. But today it's a political divide. But it's also tied up in religion. It's a political divide between self-autonomy, conservatism, capitalism, communism, atheism, collectivism. We're very, very divided. But I'm asking you guys, if my voice matters to any of you, if you're looking for any direction, hold, hold, hold. There's a time for peace and there is a time for war. We are not at the time for war yet, and I hope we don't get there. Do not get hot-headed. Do not get trigger happy. Do not seek revenge. Think about the lives of your children and your grandchildren and the peace or atrocity that they will be raised in. Again, over and over and over, I'm mentioning I am very emotional on this. I don't like Michael. I'm not going to shed any tears over him. I think that he was a drug addict, and he was delusional, and he assassinated a person in the middle of downtown Portland because of he was expressing a belief on his hat. But he's still a human life. He still bears the image of God. And we cannot get to the point where we lose the value of our neighbor, even our enemies, and start dehumanizing them. Look at every genocide in the world. Look at Rwanda. Look at Nazi Germany. Look at Cambodia. Look at the Great Leap Forward in China. Look at the genocides that happened in the USSR. One common thing that happens before genocide is an identification of a certain class of people, and then a demonization of those class of people. They'll start talking about them like cockroaches, or an infestation, or deplorable. We demonize them in our minds before we try to exterminate them. I've been watching things bubble up for a couple months now, and it's been more and more disturbing me. We are at a place where there's a potential for great atrocity. There's a potential for war. There's a potential for genocide. We are also at a place where the citizens can rise up and demand peace. And we can say, this has gone too far. This will end. We will not have riots in the street. We will not terrorize the citizens of communities. I'm asking you guys, fight for peace. Show up to a protest. Call your representatives. Call your local police department. Call your local sheriff's office. Don't go to violence until you have actually acted on every avenue that's before you that you can before violence. Violence is a last option. Things are escalating. Things are escalating. We saw assaults, property damage, terrorism, terrorizing neighbors and communities. And now we're seeing more and more assaults. And we're now seeing murders. You have the power to influence your neighbors. One thing I was talking to a friend about today was that 150 years ago, people trusted their neighbors' opinions. They trusted their neighbors' reason. Today we're caught up in the cult of the expert. And we think that somebody has to have a PhD or a position in the government or some authoritarian title for them to have anything to say. But I say that that's upside down. And we all of us woke up in this reality not knowing what's going on, not knowing what happens when we die, not knowing how we're supposed to act. We're all struggling through it together. And we all have an equal opinion on what this place is. So I think we should start speaking our mind more as individual citizens and listening to each other and forming a conclusion based on the opinions of those around us, interacting with each other. I'm tired of the violence. I'm tired of people getting hurt. I'm tired of seeing innocent people getting hurt. And I'm tired of seeing guilty people getting hurt. We live in a civilized society. There are avenues to seek peace through. We've seen almost 100 days of rioters terrorizing people, scaring people, hurting people, forcing their way on others. Just in the last few weeks, the conservatives and the patriots have started waking up. They've started showing up to protests. And I know some of you, your hearts are calling you to stand up violently. And I understand that because of the atrocities we've seen these people commit, hurting elderly people, hurting disabled people, hurting children. But I would ask you to seek the high road first. Before you let loose the rage in your heart into violence, I would ask you to seek peace. What can you sacrifice? What can you offer? How can you help those that are hurting around you? Before you seek violence, do all that you can to seek peace without violence. And don't get me wrong, I'm not a pacifist. There is a time for peace. There is a time for war. But do not seek the path of war prematurely. For all sides receive casualties in war. I've been watching this for a couple months. I watch things grow and grow and grow and grow, and we're getting to a boiling point. How will you look back in a decade? 10 years from now, how will you look back? Will you look back and say that you did nothing and that you sat by and tried to hold on to your peaceful, comfortable life and the war broke out? Or will you look back and say that I stood up and I held the line and peace was stabilized? Pretty emotional tonight, guys. That's what I have to say. Hold. If the time for war comes, I will cry out and I will join you on the front lines. But we still have an option for peace. So restrain your anger, restrain your frustration, restrain your bitterness, restrain your hurt, and seek peace. Love your neighbor, love your enemy. The antidote to zealotry is temperance. That's some wise words there. Temperance. How does a killer, J-Tree says, how does a killer get an interview before cops are notified? That's a corrupt political government. That's a good question. Portland Police Bureau, the chief. Why did Vice Media know where this guy was and get an interview with him in broad daylight without you guys being able to come and capture him? Chief, you're going to have to break away from Ted Wheeler and the governor, and you're going to have to stand for what's right. And if you don't, when all this boils over, you're going to be on the chopping block. You're going to be tried. You're going to be tried for inaction for the authority that you held and that you were given and what you didn't do with it. That man should have been arrested several days ago. He shouldn't have been gunned down in Washington. He should be in a jail cell today, awaiting trial and awaiting the American justice system to mete out the consequences of his actions. I'm gonna read the chat here. Yeah, civilian intelligence agency says they got and arrested Kyle, though the irony. Kyle R. from the northern Great Plains, Minnesota, Michigan area, they've got him arrested. He's going to be on trial when everybody in the nation knows clearly that he was acting in self-defense. That young man was very, very restrained, very, very trained, very, very competent with his weapon. And he went out there to stop the riots and protect business properties. He was attacked by a group of thugs, a mob. He protected himself, very, very, very disciplined. And that guy's being prosecuted? What is going on? Anybody in their right mind knows that he was defending himself. And he's being prosecuted? But in Portland, Oregon, 100 days of rioting, people burning down federal buildings, people shooting fireworks at a politician's house trying to light it on fire, people attacking federal officers and local government officers, people attacking citizens. Somehow none of those crimes are being prosecuted. But Kyle R. is being prosecuted like it's upside down world, and we can't see that it was clearly self-defense. I'm a peaceful man and I want peace, but you guys sentenced Kyle to prison? I might seek the darker aspects of my soul to remedy that. That young man was acting as a patriot, and he was acting in self-defense. You guys convict him of a crime he didn't do, and it's time for the patriots to riot. I am Kyle, 24/7 live AZ Skies. I am Kyle. I am Spartacus. I am Kyle. Boom, that's some strong words there. I am Kyle. I am Spartacus. We need to get that trending online, you guys. I am Kyle. That needs to go on everything. Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, whatever you can pump that on. I am Kyle. Let's see it. Let's see it, audience. I got 250 people in here. I am Kyle. I am Kyle. I am Kyle. I am Kyle. I see it. I see you guys. I am Kyle. I am Kyle. We are Kyle. I am Kyle. We cannot be so divided that the corrupt factions of our state get to rule. We cannot be so divided that patriots like Kyle get thrown into a prison cell. We have got to unite for peace. Otherwise, the criminals and those that don't care about justice will unite, and they will form their dark government. We have to unite in peace. I am Kyle. I'm mad, you guys. I'm worked up tonight. I was disappointed that Michael got gunned down tonight. Again, not because I think Michael was a good guy, but because he was a human. And we have the strongest government in the structure of government. I'm at a loss for words. We have the strongest government structure in the world, and we couldn't just gather up some criminal that shot somebody. We couldn't arrest him. We couldn't bring him into a jail cell. Like he died on the street in a gunfight. What does that say? Portland Police Bureau? I understand that the politicians of our city have restrained you. But Chief Chuck, it's time to rebel against the cities, the politicians. It's time to rebel against Wheeler. It's time to rebel against Brown. It's time to rebel against Schmidt. And it's time to rebel against Hardesty. The citizens of Portland want law and order. You need to renounce your political leaders and act and enforce law and order. You need to rebel against the politicians of the city. You need to rise against your political leaders and disobey them and restore law and order. I'm a hot mess tonight, guys. When I found out he got shot down tonight, it just kind of tore me up. It's because I don't want to see this keep growing. I am Kyle. Somebody asked who got shot down tonight. Michael Forrest R. I'm not going to say his last name. Last initials R. He made it into Washington tonight, and a group of federal law enforcement officers, local sheriff and local police officers surrounded him and tried to detain him in South Washington, and it ended in a gunfight, and it ended in Michael's death. Michael, as far as anybody can tell, shot down Jay, Aaron Danielson, last week and killed him for no reason. It was an assassination. We cannot celebrate Michael's death tonight because it wasn't a just, conscious, judicial trial with a death. It was an act in the moment that lost control, and he lost his life in that moment. We need to hold the law and order. If somebody deserves to die for their crimes, they can go through the court system. And we can do it slowly, and we can do it rationally, and we can end those people's lives that are destroying our society. But we cannot allow vigilante violence. And I'm not saying that the law enforcement officers did that tonight, but I am saying that we need to get our act together better to where law enforcement officers can bring one guy in, one criminal, without killing him. He needs to stand trial. He needs to face the justice system. I'm probably gonna regret this stream tomorrow. I'm just a hot mess tonight. I'm all emotional, and I'm angry, and I don't want things to keep escalating. But I'm asking you guys. There's 240 people at this very moment watching, and there will be thousands and thousands of more watching it not live. All of you listening to me, I'm asking you to seek the path of peace. Seek peace. Hold your violence fast. Hold fast. Hold fast. Seek all possible routes of peace before you choose to engage in violence. Look into history. Look what happens when nations devolve into violence. Nobody wins in that. Peace. Peace. Let's seek peace, guys. Peace. I am Kyle. I am Kyle. I am Kyle. All right, I'm going to take questions. I'm going to stop ranting. Stop being a lunatic here. You guys got some questions? I like those. Peace and I am Kyle coming up on the stream like crazy. So John Gray says, offhanded says, dehumanization seems to be more pronounced on one side. Yeah, today the left are the villains, and they're causing all the pain, and they're being unhuman in their behavior. But there have been times in history where the right has held that. And I'm not dismissing the left's responsibility for their disgusting actions today. But I'm asking you to keep humanizing them. Remember that they were children once. Remember that they have favorite hobbies and favorite foods, and that they're scared about certain things, and they hope for other things. Remember that they're human, and speak to that humanity in them. Perroquet says, can you say with confidence that Kyle sought peace in the same way that you do? I'm not victim blaming, but there's a case to be made. He didn't act smart. I'm on Kyle's side. There's all these technical laws that people are talking that he may have broken, crossing state lines or being too young. But he was clearly a very disciplined and trained young man. I think that he probably had a very good father. He showed up to try to defend property from looters and rioters. He's on video putting a fire out. Violent mob thugs and Antifa chased him down the street, and he controlled his gun until he was hit in the head and knocked on the ground. When they began to mob him, he defended himself. I am with Kyle. I think that Kyle's actions were justified. If you have evidence otherwise, show me and I'll change my mind. But I think he is a good man, and I'm behind him. So Mary Q. Court says, amen to that villain. I pray for them along that line always, the rioters. They're brainwashed and mentally ill, been preyed upon. However, if they cross that line, life over death, defend ourselves. I agree. There's no contradiction there. You can have compassion on your enemy and compassion on the depravity of those that you have to interact with, and you can also defend yourself from them and defend your family from them. There's no contradiction there. You can defend yourself against somebody's threat to the point where you have to kill them, but you don't have to demonize them. You don't have to lose their humanity. You can still see them as a human and struggle with the fact that you had to defend yourself from the depraved actions. I'm going to get off here in a minute. I've been ranting on a crazy emotional rant for 45 minutes now, it looks like. I'm glad the marshals brought justice to Jay's death. I just wish that it could have been done peacefully in a way that Michael had to come face trial. Vice Media? Vice fucking Media? Vice Media? What are you guys doing? Just interviewing known murderers and not alerting anybody to where they are? I get it. The journalism, the story must go out. Where do you cross that line? This dude was a hardened, irrational murderer, and you guys are just patting him on the back, getting a conversation with him. Vice Media. Vice Media. You guys know the origin of Vice Media is the same origin of Proud Boys? You guys hate one and love the other? They have the same origin. Look into that, you guys. Agenda analyst says, Gavin, you're right on point there, bud. Right on point. VTX88 says, quit wearing black, all black, so I don't look like Antifa. I look like villain. If you don't want to listen to my voice or you don't know who I am, you can categorize me however you want. Alright guys, I'm gonna get off of here. If you got any questions, let's hear it. How's the audio right now? I'm integrating some new microphones right now. It had a problem when we first turned it on, but I turned the microphone around me, the shotgun mic. How's the audio quality right now? How's the audio? Tell me, guys. It's good? Perfect? Audio good? Video is good? Right on. You guys, I want to do a minute of silence for Jay. You know, I actually interacted with the Jay at the Portland battle, 2 weeks ago, that Saturday where they threw lye on me. He was the mysterious magical skateboard guy. I did not know that day, but he's in my stream. He's the magic skateboard guy in my stream from that day. But everybody that I've interacted with that has interacted with him or known him deeply says that he was the nicest guy in the world. Peaceful, happy guy. Made everybody's lives better. And they gunned him down because he was wearing a Patriot Prayer hat. So let's have a moment of silence for him. Do a minute or more of silence. All right, Jay. You rest in peace, brother. We'll see you on the other side. All right, guys. We get about 30 seconds. If anybody wants to throw up a relevant question, I'll try to respond to that. But otherwise, I'm going to stop being a hot mess and get off of here. I'm going to make a post later about my my complaining that I was doing the last couple days is the whole streaming restreamer issue. And a lot of people thought that I was trying to make more drama and more of an issue than I was. The game is what it is, and the players are what the players are, and I don't have any animosity to people. I thank Freight Broker Live, PT News Network, for what he does and for helping me out with my platform. And I thank Portland Andy for what he does and helping me out with my platform. Streaming and restreaming is a weird thing. It's newly being carved out. So don't create drama for me where I'm not trying to create it. All right, guys. I'm going to call it a night. Try to rest my mind from all this chaos. I hope you guys find some rest as well. I am Kyle. I am Kyle. So let's lighten it up here before I close out here, right? Lighten it up. Don't leave so somber. You guys in the villain gang? You guys trying to find truth? Trying to seek out the heart of the human condition and see your neighbor for what they really are? Try to love them for what they are? A villain report. Look for truth and humanity. Try to talk to your neighbor. Try to create peace. Anybody got a problem with that? I'm your Huckleberry. Moo ha 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 ha. Moo ha 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 ha. All the rights for all the people. All of the rights for all of the people. All of the rights for all the people. All of the rights for all of the people. Muhahaha. Love you guys. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening to me while I rant as a hot mess tonight. Thanks for putting up with my audio and my technical issues. Thanks for helping me grow this platform. Thanks for helping me have a voice. Thank you for helping me seek truth. Thank you for all of you that support me in many ways. Thank you for those of you that are encouraging me to keep speaking. Thank you for those of you that are speaking on your own now. Freedom has a very, very thin veneer to be lost. Civilization is not so easily destroyed as we would assume. So I hope you guys are standing up and speaking it out and trying to seek peace. All right, guys. I'm gonna get to bed. About to fly off into some unknown land and do an event pretty soon. Got to catch a flight here shortly. Again, I apologize for being such a hot mess tonight. I'm very emotional about how things are playing out. Hold fast. Hold fast. Hold fast.